After a simple continental self-serve breakfast at our lodge, we'll be heading to Lake Louise, one of Canada's leading alpine resorts and the crown jewel of Banff National Park. This is the overflow parking lot in the small hamlet of Lake Louise Village. From here, we'll be taking the free Parks Canada shuttle bus since parking at the lake is difficult. We are now heading towards the lake, which is 5,680 feet above sea level and about 2.5 miles uphill from the village where we boarded the bus. As we walk towards the lake, it almost feels like it's an amphitheater of soaring and chiseled mountain backdrop. There are small fishes that survive in this lake year-round. As a matter of fact, the original name that was given to this place was Ho-ran-nam-ne, meaning the lake of little fishes, by the Stoney natives who had first settled in this area. In the late 1800s, a railroad horse wrangler named Thomas Wilson happened to meet up with this local Stoney Indians who told him of this little lake of fishes and a magical body of water. So when they brought him here, he was so astonished by the color of the lake that he called it Emerald Lake. In 1884, the name of the lake was changed to Lake Louise in honor of Princess Louise Caroline Alberta, who was the daughter of England's Queen Victoria and also the wife of the then Governor General of Canada. People can rent these canoes and paddle near the end of the lake and back within an hour. We are taking a leisurely stroll along the lake shore, taking in the beautiful views of the water and mountain peaks. Lake Louise is known as the hiking capital of the world, and we can walk as little or as far as we like, but if we take this trail all the way, then we can go to the very back of the lake where the silt is being deposited by the Victoria Glacier. And this is what gives the lake its famous turquoise color. Victoria Glacier down here, Mount Victoria up there, Abbott Pass Hut up there, and this is Mount Lefroy. This divide is called Abbott Pass in honor of Mr. Philip Stanley Abbott, an American lawyer who died during an expedition to the summit of Mount Lefroy. Here is the magnificent Chateau Lake Louise. It first started as a modest log cabin on the shores in 1890 and provided just 2 beds and served meals to people on day trips in the area. When a fire destroyed the original building in 1893, a second single-story building was built called Chalet Lake Louise. In 1896, a second story and wings with 15 rooms were added to the chalet. And between 1900 and 1912, a 3-story, 500-bed wing was constructed. $65 million was spent in upgrading the chateau to the current magnificent building. The interior is very grand and showing off lavish materials. We are entering the grand lobby, capped with this ornate chandelier. It shows off a perfectly preserved grandeur of yesteryear. This place looks like it's right out of a Victorian novel, with all the polished wood, the grand staircase, and the plush carpets. Regarded as one of the most stunning alpine drives in the world, we are now traveling on the Icefields Parkway, Highway 93, on our way to Jasper. The First Nations people and the European fur traders would have been the first to travel these mountain passes and valleys to hunt and trade in this area long before this highway was built. In this meandering 232-kilometer road from Lake Louise to Jasper, this is our first stop, surrounded by sweeping valleys and sprawling glaciers. It's the most staggeringly scenic road that we have ever experienced. With every curve, there is a new view. Around one bend, there is this lush pine forest, and then around another, there is this soaring vista of a rocky mountain ahead of us. We are at our second stop, the Crowfoot Glacier, and it was called so because when this was named about a century ago, it looked like a three-pronged crow's foot. Since then, one toe has melted and the middle toe is also slowly disappearing, so it therefore no longer resembles the glacier which early explorers named it. The runoff from this glacier supplies water to the Bow River.
This is the Bow Lake. Look, three colors, man.
Stunning lake that sits at an elevation of 6,300 feet and is one of the largest lakes in Banff National Park. And it also sits at the base of the Bow Summit, which is perfectly reflected in its aquamarine waters.
Snack break by the lake.
As the glacier moves and melts, it pulverizes the minerals on the rock over which it moves. The pulverized minerals settle at the bottom of the lake as sediments, but some of these sediments, known as the rock floor, are suspended in the water. When the sun shines on the suspended minerals, we see this beautiful blue color. This parkway parallels the Continental Divide, the watershed that divides rivers flowing east from those flowing west.
Hiking up to Bow Summit to see Peto Lake. The elevation gain is only 30 meters, but because of the icy winds blowing from the glaciers, every 1 meter you go up, you could be losing several degrees.
We are climbing up higher elevations and we are seeing fewer trees. We were also told that in these elevations, wild alpine flowers thrive and survive. Sometimes a profusion of flowers can be seen in these mountains.
It's called the western anemone. The furriness traps the warmth and the moisture and also filters out all the strong radiation of the sunlight in the upper elevations.
Along this trail, we are seeing the thinning effect of the forest, and the upper section of this trail takes us to the true alpine where the tundra begins. Tundra ecosystems are tree-less regions found on top of the mountains where the climate is very, very cold. Normally, plants give off carbon dioxide when they decompose, but in the tundra, they undergo a phenomenon called permafrost. This here is Bow Summit. It's a great place to visit, but we don't want to live here because 9 months of the year, this place is covered by snow, and even in the summer, they say it's very, very cold here. This is Peto Glacier, the most studied glacier in all of Canadian Rockies. They have found 3,000-year-old wood fragments covered by the ice, which indicates that much of what is now a glacier was once a forest. Past glacial advances has gouged out the U shape of this valley and the bow of the lake.
Walking up to see the Mistea Canyon, a gorge that's being carved out by waterfalls.
This is a short downhill hike, about 1 kilometer each way through these peaceful forests. And we're so excited because this canyon is a natural wonder with rushing water, rock formations, and multiple waterfalls to see. Actually, Mistea means grizzly bear in the language of the Cree Indians. We are standing on the footbridge and looking straight down, we can see the zigzag curves of the canyon and also the powerful surging waterfall below that has sculpted, molded, and chiseled the limestones in this gorge. The flow of the water is constrained by this narrow canyon walls. Different angles reveal a dichotomy of limestone and the gushing blue-green water. It's surrounded by such gorgeous scenery of the mountains and the forests, and it's very picturesque. Mount Sarbak in the horizon is 10,351 feet high. Upstream, the course of the river transitions rapidly from sleek flow into whitewater rapids racing into the canyon. At the heart of this incredible ice fields parkway is one of the largest non-polar ice fields in the world. We are headed to Columbia Ice Field, which is a surviving remnant of the thick ice mass that once mantled most of Western Canada's mountains. And with a total area of about 89 square miles and 1,200 feet deep, this ice field is the largest mass of glacial ice in the Canadian Rockies and receives an average of 23 feet of new snowfall per year. Not all of the snow can melt in the short summers, so it accumulates, turning to ice, which flows outward through the surrounding passes and creates glaciers. What we see in front is Athabasca Glacier. Okay, so we are here at the parking lot, and from here we're going to take a short bus ride to the massive ice explorer vehicle called Ivan the Terrabus, and that vehicle is going to transport us on top of the glacier.
Now, a moraine is just a fancy word for a pile of rock and dirt left behind by a glacier. Now, to our right-hand side, as we see there, that is the terminal moraine, marking the furthest advancement of the Athabasca Glacier. So 176 years ago, the Athabasca Glacier at our 2 o'clock there would have stretched 8 kilometers long all the way down to the Discovery Center. However, these beautiful, happy little trees we see in front of us here, they are 400 years old. They are very, very small. That is due to our short growth season up here of only 6 weeks out of the entire year. We call them flag trees. That is because the katabatic or downhill winds coming off of the Athabasca Glacier will carry small pieces of rock and dirt, acting like sandpaper on the one side of the tree, making it look like a flag blowing in the wind. This allows the branches to only grow on the side facing away from the glacier. We're going to have an awesome example of one of those flag trees as well here, guys. Our first look at those ice explorers. Who's excited?
We are riding the Terrabus, the heavy-duty 6-wheeled snow coach that's transporting us up to the glacier. There are only 23 of these vehicles in the whole world, and 22 of them are here, and one in Antarctica at the research base. Now, this figure made of piled stones and boulders are called Inukshuks, which means to act in the capacity of a human. These were created by Inuit people and used as hunting and navigational aids and placed throughout the Arctic landscape. Our bus is equipped with 6 monster tires. These are called Terra tires with really low air pressure. It moves very slowly. Here's a gentle descent. The operators keep these tires at really low air pressure of 16 psi. That gives excellent traction on the glacial ice below. We are approaching the descent point, and our driver warned us of 2 dangers: crevasses and mill holes. Crevasses are giant cracks that form on the surface of the glacier, which could be very deep and steep, covered with a thin sheet of ice. And mill holes are formed when glacial meltwaters erode deep holes on the ice. We are surrounded by ice that is thousands of years old. This experience is giving us a good idea of what the last ice age would have felt like. Underneath the sheet of ice, researchers have discovered kilometers of tunnels and shafts carved by meltwater every summer. When the surface temperature on the glacier was minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit, when the team went inside the glacier, it was a balmy 33 degrees Fahrenheit. The glacier is receding by 16 feet of ice per year. We are collecting natural glacial water of unmatched purity. This pure glacial water with a low mineral content contains some rare minerals only found in ancient glaciers.
Glacial flow. Serious,
பெண்ணின் உள்ளத்திலே இருக்க நான் வர வேண்டும். வாடகை என்ன
Samwapta is the stony Indian name for turbulent river, and this waterfalls in Jasper is just one of the many that's created by hanging valleys. The Samwapta Falls was caused by the abrupt change of course by the Samwapta River. Over time, the falling river has carved a gorge in the limestone rocks, and now the falls has the height of 75 feet. This is Athabasca Falls. In the language of the Cree natives, Athabasca means plants one after another. Flowing from the glaciers, The Athabasca River is the largest river system in Jasper. The size of this river makes it one of the most powerful waterfalls to be found in the mountain national parks. We can feel the spray of the waterfalls as it thunders into the canyon below. Actually, glacial stream from the Athabasca Valley Glacier whittled away rocks to form this canyon. And as the glacier receded, the river flowed through this narrow gorge and fell over this cliff, causing Class 5 waterfall.